Chapter 11. Other Godless Communists. With the rise of China as a world power and their newfound prosperity being what it is, the Chinese Communist Party has an insatiable lust for world domination and a labor pool that can produce goods much cheaper than in America, coupled with their propensity to lie, cheat, and steal from other countries, especially the United States, which has made them rich enough to be an important player on the international stage. An economic asset that accounts for the source of the CCP's wealth is not only cheap labor, but slave labor. And the Democrat Party seeks the moral high ground by whining incessantly about the history of slavery in America in centuries past. But prominent Democrats have ties to the Chinese, including the Biden family, the Pelosi family, and the Schumer family. But, at the same time, they want to push us into socialism. Check out the book by Amelia Peng and see how China is beating our socks off with cheap prices due to cheap labor. You can get a quick view of Ms. Peng's report on YouTube by searching out her interview in which she talks about having followed up on a note packed in a box from China written by a man wanting to get the world's attention to the forced labor camps of the Chinese communists. By slave labor, they are able to offer cheap goods to American retailers, and businesses like Amazon want part of their market. But when Americans did the same thing prior to the Civil War, using slave labor to increase productivity and profit, somehow that's a grievous sin, and our entire culture must be canceled because slavery existed in America centuries ago. Ms. Peng also talks about Chinese human traffickers kidnapping people in Vietnam and taking them to slave labor camps in China. And, according to informed sources and whistleblowers, the Bidens are profiting from their association with China at the same time the Democrats tout socialism for America. If the CCP can treat their own people in such ways, think what they would do to Americans if they managed to take control of our country through Joe Biden and the Democrats. The Chinese Communist Safeists all want to replace America as the world's sole superpower. They want their currency, currently third behind the dollar and the euro, to be the reserve currency of the world, replacing the US dollar, and yet America continues to admit Chinese nationals into our country. We also give them work permits and engage in trade despite a continuing imbalance, creating a significant deficit that drains our national resources and empowers the Chinese more each day that we fail to acknowledge all this and cut them off. China isn't lacking money, and yet we're sending them US dollars. We even still consider China as a developing nation and send them tens of millions of taxpayer dollars while they build the world's biggest navy. For example, in early 2020, Trump's Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, announced $100 million of taxpayer money was sent to China because they were considered as a country impacted by COVID-19. But that's where it came from, Pompeo. The Chinese communists must be laughing up their sleeve about our rampant institutional stupidity. And they must be high-fiving each other in the streets of Beijing that our National Institute of Health under Anthony Fauci sent grant money to the Wuhan laboratory in China to study viruses which they intend to weaponize. Fauci adamantly denied they were studying gain of function. But China is the undisputed origin of COVID-19, which has killed 3 million people and damaged Western economies. This begs the question: did the Chinese lie on their grant application? Or did Anthony Fauci lie? Or both? As we said above, all enemies, foreign and domestic. Put these puzzle pieces together with our next topic.